New cars come with all kinds of bells and whistles these days, from heated seats all the way up to autonomous driving. But are they reliable? A new survey from Consumer Reports trying to answer that question today.
Right now, somewhere in America, a proud new car owner is sliding into the driver's seat, breathing in that fresh leather smell and thinking they've just bought years of worry-free freedom. But through the hood, or buried deep in a software system, they might already be sitting on a ticking time bomb. And when it goes off, it won't just strand them on the side of the road. It could drain their savings, wreck their credit, and leave them stuck making payments on a car that can't even be driven. This isn't about a few unlucky lemons slipping through the cracks. The newest reliability data and owner reports from across the country are painting a much darker picture. One where cutting-edge technology, luxury features, and even some so-called proven engines are failing on a scale the industry would rather you never hear about. We're talking about catastrophic breakdowns hitting well before 100,000 miles, sometimes in vehicles barely out of the showroom. And the timing isn't random. For many owners, these disasters strike just after the warranty clock runs out. You might think this only happens with obscure budget models or brands already known for sketchy reliability. But what if I told you some of the worst offenders are sitting at the top of the luxury market, carrying price tags that could buy a small house? What if the very features that sold you on a car, the advanced hybrid system, the high-tech suspension, the turbocharged performance, are the same ones most likely to leave you stranded with a 5-figure repair bill? And here's where it gets wild. Many of these failures aren't accidents or flukes. Internal documents, lawsuits, and engineering reports have shown that some manufacturers knew these systems were risky long before the first customers drove them home. They rolled them out anyway, betting that the cost of a few warranty claims would be cheaper than redesigning the part for long-term durability. Which cars are quietly racking up catastrophic failures in 2025? What hidden design flaws are turning brand new vehicles into financial traps? And how can you tell if the car you're about to buy is already on a collision course with a massive repair bill? By the end of this video, you'll see exactly why the glossy brochure and perfect test drive tell you almost nothing about how long a modern car will actually last. And once you know the truth, you might never look at a dealership the same way again. If you really want to see how deep this problem goes, you've got to zoom out past individual horror stories and look at the big picture. And in 2025, that picture isn't just ugly, it's historic. Consumer Reports just dropped their latest reliability data. And for anyone who thought modern cars were better than ever, well, you might want to sit down. They surveyed hundreds of thousands of owners, covering every major brand, and the patterns are impossible to ignore. Hybrids, especially regular, non-plug-in hybrids, are still the golden children of reliability. But pure electric cars, they're still having way more problems than gas vehicles, on average. And it's not just about batteries. Most of the headaches are with electronics, build quality, and tech features that are supposed to make your life easier. And here's where it gets wild. Luxury brands, the ones that market themselves as the ultimate in engineering, are often near the bottom. That's because the more tech and complexity you cram into a car, the more stuff there is to fail. We're talking adaptive suspensions, 20-way adjustable seats with massage functions, panoramic sunroofs with electronic shades, massive infotainment systems controlling everything. All great when they work, but each one is another potential 4-figure repair. Now, if you think, so just avoid EVs and luxury cars and you're fine, not so fast. Even traditional gas-powered vehicles are getting hammered in the rankings if they're running brand new engines, transmissions, or electronics. First-year models, especially those with new drivetrains, are like beta tests you pay for. You're not just buying a car, you're signing up to be a guinea pig. And you might be thinking, well, that's just Consumer Reports' take. Maybe it's overblown. But J.D. Power's own 2025 dependability study, different survey, different methodology, backs it up. The leaders are still brands like Lexus, Toyota, and Buick, while big-name luxury players and certain American brands sink way below average. Even in the short term, their initial quality study shows problems popping up in the first 90 days, before most people even make their second payment. The trend is clear. The more cutting-edge the technology, the higher the risk. And if you think that's just some vague statistic that doesn't affect real people, wait until you hear what happens when these innovation-driven failures hit in the real world. Because the next stories, they're going to make you look at that shiny new car in your driveway a whole lot differently.
Let's start with the old school stuff, gas engines. You'd think that after over a century of building them, automakers would have these things bulletproof by now. But in 2025, some of the most trusted names are shipping vehicles with engine designs that are practically booby-trapped. Take Ford's twin-turbo V6 engines. On paper, they're everything buyers want. Lots of power, good fuel economy for their size, and that EcoBoost badge that makes it sound like you're saving the planet every time you hit the gas. But buried in a recent recall is a nightmare scenario. Certain versions, like the 2.7 and 3-liter, have valves. Think of them as the little metal doors that let air and fuel in and out of the cylinders, made from a material that can become brittle over time. And when a valve breaks, it's game over. We're not talking about a check engine light you can ignore. We're talking about an engine that destroys itself in seconds, with repair bills pushing $15,000. One Ford owner described it as driving fine 1 minute, then a grenade went off under the hood the next. But it gets crazier. General Motors has its own version of mechanical Russian roulette in millions of trucks and SUVs. They've been touting their fuel-saving tech, AFM, or active fuel management. In plain English, it lets the engine shut down some cylinders when you don't need full power, turning off extra burners on your stove to save gas. Sounds clever, right? Except the tiny lifters that make it possible keep failing. And when they fail, metal shavings can circulate through the engine like glitter in a snow globe, tearing up everything they touch. Owners are reporting repair bills from $4,000 to $8,000, and that's if you catch it before the engine fully seizes. If you don't, you're looking at a complete replacement. And then there's Jeep's infamous death wobble. This one isn't an engine issue. It's even scarier because it happens while you're still moving. Imagine cruising down the highway at 70 miles per hour, hitting a bump, and suddenly the front end of your vehicle shakes violently. It's trying to shake itself apart. The cause? That old-school solid front axle combined with suspension geometry, let's just say less than forgiving. Once the oscillation starts, it can feel like you're seconds from losing control. And here's the kicker, Jeep's been dealing with this for over a decade. They've done steering damper replacements, they've issued fixes, but it still shows up in new models. Not only is it terrifying, but it also nukes resale value. Nobody wants to buy a vehicle with a reputation for trying to throw you off the road.
And Toyota fans, don't get too comfortable. The 2022-2023 Tundra rolled out with a brand new twin-turbo V6, meant to replace their bulletproof old V8. Within months, reports started rolling in of engines stalling completely thanks to tiny bits of debris left inside the engine from manufacturing. Those fragments can take out a main bearing and lock the whole thing up. Toyota's recalled over 100,000 trucks, but owners are facing months-long waits for parts because you can't exactly grab one of these engines off the shelf at your local shop. These aren't just quirks, these are failures that can blindside you with a 5-figure bill and months without your vehicle. And remember, these are all from the tried and true side of the market. If this is what's happening with traditional engines, just wait until you see what's going on with the high-tech electric side of the fence. That's where the failures get even more expensive and a whole lot weirder.
Now, if the gas engine failures sound bad, the electric side of the market takes things to a whole new level, because when these cars go wrong, they don't just limp along, they can flat out refuse to move. And the repair bill can be the kind of number that makes you wonder if you should have just bought a house instead. Let's start with Tesla's Model Y. This is one of the best-selling EVs in the world, a tech showcase, and for many people, their first step into the electric future. But owners in cold climates started discovering something very unfuturistic. Their heat pumps, which are basically fancy reversible air conditioners that can warm or cool the car, were failing in the middle of winter. No heat, defrost, barely working, and reduced driving range because the battery had to work harder to stay warm. And here's where it gets wild. Out of warranty, replacing that heat pump can run you $4,000 to $6,000. Some owners have even had multiple failures. And since Tesla doesn't have a dealership network in every city, you could be waiting weeks just to get it looked at. Then there's Mercedes' electric flagship, the EQE. On paper, it's everything you'd expect from German luxury. Sleek, quiet, packed with cutting-edge tech. But its battery management system, the software brain that controls charging, cooling, and power delivery, has been failing for some owners. And when that brain goes down, the car can shut off completely. Not slow down, not limp mode, just done, sometimes at highway speed. The fix? Often a full battery pack replacement. That's $20,000 plus on a vehicle that's already depreciating faster than most owners can pay it off. Mercedes has been rolling out software updates, but the damage to its reputation and its resale values is already done.
Audi hasn't escaped this trend either. The e-tron GT is gorgeous, insanely fast, and feels like something out of a sci-fi movie. Until its complex power electronics start acting up. These are the components that handle the flow of electricity between the battery and the motors, and when they fail, you're looking at a repair that can climb into the $20,000 range.
Worse, the parts are proprietary and often backordered, meaning owners have reported waiting months without their cars while still making their hefty payments. And for families thinking they're playing it safe by going hybrid, not necessarily. Chrysler's Pacifica plug-in hybrid has been hit with multiple recalls over battery fire risks. We're talking park it outside, far away from your house level warnings. For parents relying on this as a daily school shuttle, suddenly losing the ability to safely charge or even park your minivan is a nightmare. These cases all have one thing in common: complexity. Every additional high-voltage system, every new layer of software, every innovative design choice creates another point of failure. And when those points of failure cost 5 figures and can sideline your car for months, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a financial torpedo. And yet, this isn't even the most dangerous part of the story. Because while these high-tech breakdowns can wreck your wallet, the way they interact with modern car loans can wreck your entire financial life. And that's where this problem turns from expensive to truly devastating.
So why is all of this happening? How do we go from bulletproof Camrys and F-150s that run forever to brand new cars, blowing engines, frying electronics, and dying in driveways before they're even paid off? The answer isn't just bad luck or quality control slip-ups. It's baked into how modern cars are engineered and sold. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Automakers are being pulled in 5 directions at once. They've got to meet stricter emissions targets, hit aggressive fuel economy goals, pack in the latest tech features, keep performance numbers competitive, and make it all cheaper to build. That's a balancing act where something's got to give, and what usually gives is long-term durability. Think about it. Every time a company redesigns an engine to squeeze out more miles per gallon, or swaps a proven transmission for a brand new one with smarter shifting, or crams in the latest infotainment system, that's an untested system in the real world. Sure, they test it in labs and on closed tracks, but that's nothing compared to the abuse actual drivers put it through. Cold starts in sub-zero weather, stop-and-go traffic in scorching heat, towing trailers up mountain grades. And here's where it gets wild. In multiple lawsuits over the last few years, leaked internal documents have shown that engineers warned about potential failure points, sometimes years before a car went on sale. They recommended stronger parts, more testing, or design changes, but executives, staring at launch deadlines and cost spreadsheets, said no. Why? Because fixing it for every car would be more expensive than paying for the small percentage that fail under warranty. It's corporate math, and consumers are the ones footing the bill when those failures hit later.
It's not exactly planned obsolescence in the cartoon villain sense. Cars aren't built to explode at year 3 on purpose, but they are increasingly designed to last just long enough to get past the warranty period. And in the current market, that's all they really need to do. If it fails after that, well, that's your problem.
And this isn't just about powertrains. The push for cutting-edge tech in every corner of the vehicle means there's more complexity and more points of failure than ever before. We're talking electronically controlled turbo wastegates, adaptive suspensions with a computer for each corner, software updates that can change how your car drives overnight. Each one is a potential time bomb if it wasn't tested thoroughly enough before launch. But here's the kicker. Even if you think, I'll just avoid all the risky stuff and buy something simple, there's still one more factor that can make a breakdown absolutely catastrophic: the way we finance cars today. Because the tech is only half the trap. The other half is the money. And that's where things go from bad engineering to a full-blown financial disaster.
All right, let's talk about the other half of this nightmare: the money. Because a breakdown today doesn't just mean a fat repair bill. It can chain you to a financial mess that takes years to escape. First, car prices. The average new car in 2025, about $49,000. That's not for a Porsche or Tesla Plaid, that's for the average. And most buyers aren't putting down big cash anymore. They're stretching loans to 72 months, 84 months, some even longer. That's 7 years of payments. And here's the dangerous part. Cars lose value fast in the first few years. So for the first half of that loan, you owe more than the car is worth. That's called negative equity. Now picture this, you're 3 years in, you still got 4 years of payments left, and boom, your engine fails, or your battery pack dies, or a rare electronic module fries. Repair bill, $8,000, $12,000, $20,000. You can't sell the car because no one's paying top dollar for a vehicle with a known defect or a major repair in its history. You can't trade it in without eating the loss because the dealer will just knock thousands off the value. And you can't just stop paying because the lender will tank your credit score into the basement.
This is how people get trapped, paying $700 a month for a car they can't even drive. Some try to roll the debt into another loan, which just kicks the problem down the road and makes the next car even more expensive. Others take out personal loans to fix the car, stacking more debt on top of the original. And in the worst cases, people just walk away, accept the repossession, and live with the damage to their credit for years. And here's the part most people don't realize. When a certain model gets a bad reliability reputation, it starts losing value faster. We're talking an extra 15 to 25% drop compared to a similar car without the problem. So even if your car hasn't failed yet, the market already assumes it might, and your resale value takes the hit. This is why a mechanical or electronic failure in 2025 isn't just a repair, it's a financial chain reaction. And it's happening in every segment: trucks, SUVs, sedans, even minivans. But here's the thing, this trap isn't inevitable. If you know what to watch for, you can dodge the worst offenders and avoid signing your life away on a rolling money pit. And that's where we start turning this from a horror story into a survival guide.
So, which cars are sitting in the danger zone right now? Which ones have the perfect combination of expensive failures, bad resale, and nightmare repair timelines? Let's break down the 2025 watch list, not to trash brands for fun, but so you know exactly what to look out for before you buy. Starting with the gas and diesel side, Ford's 2.7-liter and 3-liter EcoBoost V6 engines. You'll find them in the Explorer ST, Bronco, some F-150 trims, and a few Lincoln models. The problem? Those brittle valves we talked about earlier, when they go, they don't just cause a rough idle, they take the whole engine with them. And because these are modern turbo engines, they're packed in tight, so replacing them isn't just pricey, it's labor intensive. Next up, General Motors' 6.2-liter V8, known as the L87, and its cousins in the 5.3 range. These engines are used in the Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Yukon, Escalade, you name it. The lifter failure issue tied to their cylinder deactivation systems has been around for years, but the lawsuits and owner reports show it's still haunting newer models. If the lifter fails, you're gambling with the entire engine. Toyota makes the list with its 2022-2023 Tundra. That new twin-turbo V6, the V35A, was supposed to replace their bulletproof old V8. Instead, early builds left the factory with tiny bits of debris inside the engine. Those fragments can wreck a main bearing and cause total engine seizure. Toyota has recalled over 100,000 trucks, but between parts shortages and the complexity of the repair, owners have faced months without their vehicle. And then there's the Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator. The death wobble is still a real thing, and while Jeep has issued steering damper replacements, it's not a permanent cure. Resale values on known problem years are taking a hit, and buyers are getting pickier about which VINs they'll even consider.
Now for the electric and luxury EVs.
The Tesla Model Y, especially early heat pump years, has a track record of HVAC system failures in cold weather. The fix can be thousands of dollars and isn't exactly a quick in-and-out job, especially if your local Tesla service center is backed up. Mercedes EQE and EQS models have been flagged for battery management system failures that can shut the car down entirely. In some cases, this leads to full battery replacements in cars barely a year old. Even with warranty coverage, downtime can stretch into months, and out-of-warranty costs can easily cross $20,000. Audi's e-tron GT has suffered from failures in its power electronics, the hardware that manages the battery-to-motor energy flow. When this part dies, your car is a very expensive paperweight until the replacement arrives, and those replacements can be both rare and expensive. And for families thinking hybrids are the safest bet, the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid has had repeated recalls for battery fire risk. That's not the kind of problem you can just ignore until your next oil change. Every car on this list has one thing in common: a major system with a track record of costly, high-impact failures. And here's the real kicker. Many of them are still on dealer lots right now, being sold as if nothing's wrong. So how do you actually dodge these landmines? How do you buy a car in 2025 without accidentally signing up for your own financial disaster story? That's where the next part comes in, the survival guide. All right, so now you know the danger zone. But here's the good news. You don't have to get burned. If you follow a few key rules, you can avoid 90% of the financial disasters we just talked about. Rule number 1, don't be the beta tester. If a car has a brand new engine, transmission, or an all-new electric system in its very first model year, skip it. Give it at least a year, preferably 2, so real-world problems can surface and get fixed. The flashy new redesign might look tempting, but you're basically volunteering to find out what's wrong with it at your expense.
Rule number 2, research the exact powertrain, not just the model name. The same SUV can have one engine that's rock solid and another that's a grenade with a warranty. Look up the engine and transmission combo specifically. Consumer Reports, JD Power, forums, even owner Facebook groups. They'll tell you which ones are trouble. Rule number 3, run the VIN before you sign anything. You can check for open recalls for free on the NHTSA site. And a quick search will show if there are technical service bulletins, or TSB, for known problems. TSBs aren't recalls, but they're basically the manufacturer's quiet admission that something keeps breaking. Rule number 4, keep your loan sane. That means avoiding 84-month terms unless you absolutely have to. The longer the loan, the longer you'll be underwater if something goes wrong. Aim for a term that keeps you in positive equity by year 3. Rule number 5, have a repair buffer. Even a couple grand set aside can be the difference between fixing your car and falling into the negative equity trap. If you can't build that buffer right away, at least avoid vehicles with a history of catastrophic, wallet-destroying failures.
Rule number 6, if you're going electric, stick to models with a few years of track record and a service network you can actually reach. Battery warranties can be long, often 8 years or 100,000 miles. But remember, not every expensive failure is a battery failure. And if you can't get the part or the service appointment quickly, that warranty doesn't help much while your car sits in the driveway. Rule number 7, know your right to repair laws. Some states are expanding access for independent shops to diagnose and fix even high-tech vehicles. If you're in one of them, it can open up cheaper repair options. Follow these and you're stacking the deck in your favor. Ignore them, and you might just end up starring in your own breakdown horror story. But here's the thing, we're still not done, because there's one more layer to this, and it's where the story comes full circle. Remember the proud new car owner from the start? The one who thought they bought years of trouble-free driving? Let's finish that story and see how it all played out.
Remember Alex, the guy from the beginning sliding into his brand new SUV thinking he was set for years? Here's how it went. 3 years in, right on schedule, the trouble started. At first, it was just a warning light. Then came the rough shifting. Then came the stall. The diagnosis? Catastrophic failure of a major component, a repair bill north of $12,000. Warranty? Expired by 19 days. And that's when the real gut punch hit. He still owed $21,000 on a car that the dealer now valued at $13,000. Selling it would mean paying thousands out of pocket just to get rid of it. Alex thought about refinancing, thought about rolling the debt into another loan, even thought about just letting the bank take it. But every option meant years of financial damage. So he did what a lot of people do. He paid for the repair using a personal loan, stacking a new monthly payment on top of the old one. And just like that, his dream car became a rolling symbol of regret. And here's the twist. Alex's story isn't unusual. It's the same story playing out for thousands of owners every year in every state across every segment. The names change, the models change, but the pattern, it's identical. So now let's answer the big questions from the start. Which cars are failing hardest in 2025? You've heard them. Ford's brittle valve EcoBoosts, GM's lifter-eating V8s, Toyota's debris-filled twin-turbo V6s, Jeep's death wobble-prone Wranglers, Tesla's freezing heat pumps, Mercedes' brain-frying BMS systems, Audi's power electronics failures, and Chrysler's fire risk Pacifica PHEVs. What hidden flaws are turning them into financial traps? It's a mix of rushed designs, complex tech stacked on top of complex tech, and business decisions that accept a certain number of failures as the cost of doing business. These aren't freak accidents, they're predictable outcomes. And how do you protect yourself? By refusing to be the early adopter. By digging into the exact engine and transmission, not just the badge, by checking recalls, avoiding ultra-long loans, keeping a repair fund, and sticking to vehicles and brands with a proven track record in the real world, not just in marketing materials. Because here's the truth. A modern car can be the best financial decision you make, or the worst. The difference isn't luck, it's preparation. Alex eventually got out of his SUV. He sold it at a loss, took the hit, and replaced it with something simpler, older, and, ironically, more reliable. And for the first time in years, every time he turned the key, it just started. No warning lights, no drama, no anxiety. That's the goal. Not the heated seats, not the panoramic roof, not the 0 to 60 bragging rights. The goal is a car that quietly does its job, day in and day out, without wrecking your wallet. Because in the end, the most important feature in any car isn't the horsepower, the tech package, or the badge on the hood. It's the one thing that never shows up on the window sticker: peace of mind.